Welcome. This video is about valid reasons to end a relationship. Based on my research and personal experiences, there are 5 valid reasons for a relationship to end abruptly, immediately, as soon as possible. So please, stay tuned. Welcome to the SCG Show, the home of education entertainment. And if you are new here, welcome. Don't forget to please hit that like button and subscribe, and also hit the bell notification so you do not miss any of these videos. If you are watching this video right now, there is most likely problems in your relationship. Perhaps you are arguing all the time. You're just not getting on at all. You're experiencing constant stress and drama, and you're at a critical point in the relationship. Now, what do I mean by a critical point? I basically mean you are a real fork in the road, where one direction you will end up together for the foreseeable future. However, if you head in the other direction, you leave and start all over again, and then grieve the loss. This video does not at all advise people who are narcissists, sociopaths, or toxic individual. Also, I want to make this incredibly clear. If your partner is a violent criminal and extremely abusive, you do not need to watch this video. You need to walk away immediately and call the authorities. There is no helping such a toxic individual who will do that to you, and that is completely out of my control and yours too. Instead, these are for the people who are really at a confused moment. For example, you just cannot figure out why you're so unhappy and miserable. You do not understand why your relationship, or even how your relationship, has gone so south. And you have no idea what to do, how to fix it, and you're all out of ideas. Relationships are difficult and they are tough. They are not a picnic. And remember, 50% of marriages end up in divorce. I'm being blunt and frank with you because perhaps you have been lied to. We believe when we are in love, there are no other problems, and the world is a more beautiful and amazing place than ever before. But that can fade away rather quickly, especially when you start to notice the red flags. When the creditors come calling due to financial planning, the love will certainly not save you from that, my friend. And the love fades when you're getting up at 3 a.m. to feed your baby whilst your other partner sleeps and rarely helps you out. These are some harsh and awful statements to say, but I've built this video and this channel on telling people the truth, whether they like to hear it or not. And if you do not like what you are hearing, you can always just click away. That being said, if you wish to continue, here are 5 valid reasons to end a relationship. Number 1, you are extremely unhappy. If you're extremely unhappy when you associate with your partner, your spouse, then that is a very valid reason to end the relationship. Do you feel any of the following? Very down around them, extremely awkward around them, very miserable around them, no energy, hardly inspired around them to do anything. You switch off when they speak to you. You're unenthusiastic about socializing with them at all. Your body is telling you, aka giving you a signal, that this person who you're in a relationship with is possibly just not right for you. Now, what do I mean by that exactly? Our bodies and brains are trained to sense danger way back to the Stone Age and the ancestors and the Neanderthal days. This is called fight or flight mode, aka we can immediately switch from sitting down by a campfire to running away from a saber-toothed tiger chasing us. That same instinct that is naturally in our bodies can be applied to your own relationships too. Somehow, in some way, your body is telling you something feels naturally off. It is warning you that this does not feel right for your betterment, for your happiness, for your overall health and life. I remember that exact feeling building in a former relationship of mine. I could feel like I was never heard when I spoke. I could feel utterly disrespected. I could feel she was all about herself and completely self-absorbed. Over time, this builds up and up and up to the point where you cannot ignore it any longer. A good way to sense this is to do something or go somewhere you usually enjoy or you find happy a lot, and go and do something that makes you happy. So it could be going to a favorite restaurant, doing a favorite hobby, and do it once with your partner and the next time without them. Do you still feel unhappy despite doing something you love with a person who makes you feel miserable? Just imagine how much worse that will get over time. Soon you will never be happy associating with such a person doing absolutely anything. Next up, they are financially irresponsible. Another valid and vitally important reason to end a relationship with somebody is if they are financially irresponsible. We live in a day and age of equality, where a good, healthy, and happy relationship work as a team, and those who help each other stick together. Therefore, if you're not on the same page when it comes to your finances, or worse, somebody spends beyond their means and you're the one having to bail them out, trouble is brewing. I talk about finance and business a great deal on this channel, and I believe couples can work together in being on the same page when it comes to their financial goals and aspirations. However, if you are immature when it comes to saving, to spending and investing, or if you have no idea what is going on in and out of your bank account, this is a valid reason to walk away from someone. A couple I know got married a few years back, but the wife had a huge problem controlling her spending habits. Despite not earning much money at all, the pair of them, she wanted to have designer clothing, jewelry, and a flash car, to the point that she would spend beyond her means and get herself into debt. On the flip side, the husband was always saving and always very careful with his money. Naturally, the chickens finally came home to roost, and she mounted a credit card debt so large that they became financially bankrupt. And now divorced, they are paying through the nose just to pay off that debt and the interest on top, as well as other expenses as well. If your partner is not good with their finances and money, however you are, I am warning you of what will possibly come ahead. A lot more stress, way more fighting, more debt, more loans, more anxiety, more chaos, and way more trouble. You must be in a relationship with somebody who shares the exact same value for finances and budgeting as you do. I'm not saying save for the rest of your lives and never enjoy yourself, but instead budget, plan, and have the same financial goals and save. Your landlord or your mortgage provider will not be so kind to you when it is time to pay and you've blown all your money on a car you can't afford to impress people that you actually do not like at all. Number 3, they have crossed a line. The next reason to end a relationship is because your partner has not respected your boundaries and they have most likely crossed a line. People constantly talk about having a line that should never be crossed, but 9 times out of 10 when it happens, they usually are very quick to forgive. Ultimately, this comes down to your relationship deal breakers, establishing them and knowing what they are. Every couple and person are different when it comes to what they will allow to happen to them and what they won't allow. For me, I have a list of deal breakers that you can draw on for inspiration. Cheating and affairs are a deal breaker. Lying, stealing, toxic habits and overindulgence in toxic habits, violence, bullying, and abuse. A couple I know had problems from the very first moment they met because her partner was a serial womanizer. He loved to go out and would cheat on her all the time. He had never had a serious relationship, and she was very naive to thinking he'd changed. Then one fateful day, despite all the warnings and red flags from families and friends, she caught him in bed with another woman. She could not believe what she had seen and stormed off crying her eyes out in disbelief. He begged and pleaded for her back, and naturally over time, she decided somehow to forgive him. Meanwhile, this scumbag continued to cheat on her still, to the point that she even knows that he does it still, and unfortunately, she has not got the confidence to leave him. Once a cheater, always a cheater. Well, that's my motto. And if you give somebody an inch these days, they will most likely take a mile. You need to truly sit down and ask yourself, what are your relationship deal breakers? You can even do so with your partner, which I think is a great idea. This may be an interesting way to also preempt some possible red flags. If, for example, your partner gets uneasy about cheating being a deal breaker, then I think it is pretty evident to see what your future may lie with them. And when a line is crossed, a boundary has not been respected, walk away. Go and do the necessary healing and find yourself somebody better. Associate with people who want the best for you. Do not tolerate the opposite. Number 4. You're not on the same path. Another important reason you should end a relationship is because ultimately you are opposites who are not on the same path. Now, what do I mean by the same path? I basically mean you, for example, want marriage and kids. Yeah, they are happy carrying on exactly the way you are, aka they want the opposite of what you want in a relationship. This is a colossal waste of time down the line. Because ultimately, no matter how hard you try to delay it, ignore it, problems will always surface that have not been resolved. I'll give you a perfect example. A friend I know called Sarah was desperate to settle down and have kids from the age of 25, and she went out dating to find her perfect match. She met Peter, who was exactly what she wanted in a guy. He was a little older, but he had his life together. However, on their very first date, Peter insisted to Sarah, "I'm not one for marriage or kids. I just want somebody to spend my life with and be happy." Despite his brutal honesty and his respect for Sarah, she ignored everything he had told her. For 10 long years they were together, and despite her efforts, she could not convince him to get married. Over time, they grew resentful towards each other, and Sarah was asking friends and family to try and convince Peter to change his ways. Sure enough, Peter said that despite how much he adored and loved Sarah, he was happy with the way the relationship was and was not going to change his stance. "If I change," he said, "then I will not be happy. It's as simple as that." Sarah wasted a decade on somebody who did not have the same goals as her, all because she arrogantly and stubbornly believed she could change his mind. And even if she did, as Peter said, he would have been unhappy, as he would have to go against his own thoughts and philosophies and life choices. We must respect other people's views, opinions, and life choices. If Peter is happy not being married, let him be. If Sarah wants to be married with kids, let her find somebody who wants the same as her. You cannot and have no right to manipulate or change your view of somebody just because you've been together for a long time. If somebody has a different goal, do not get butthurt. Just respect it and move on and find somebody else who shares your goals. And if your goals are different, you must walk away. Do not waste your life trying to convince someone to your way of thinking. And finally, number 5, you cannot resolve any issues. Yes, the final valid reason to end a relationship is when you find yourself in a scenario of endless chaos, problems, and drama and stress. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over, but somehow expecting different results. Here are some examples. If you still fight despite talking it over, if they still continue to lie, if they still continue to abuse you, if they still are manipulating you, if they're still immature and they're not choosing to grow up, if they're still not on the same path and page as you. My point being is, couples do occasionally have their quarrels and fights, but the good, healthy kind who respect and love each other try to resolve issues as soon as possible and get back on the same page. And they keep to their promises. They agree to disagree and they kiss and make up. Or perhaps they come to a healthy, respectful compromise. However, if you're finding yourself in a situation where you are constantly butting heads and fighting, or worse, the problems or the same problems just keep occurring, unfortunately, it is time for you to walk away. I know it may be very hard, but your problems will only just multiply and continue to grow to the point where it becomes completely uncontrollable and completely unbearable. If you have tried your absolute best and the problems or issues cannot be resolved, whatever they are, walk away. And after you heal yourself, associate with people who want the best for you instead. In summary, of the valid reasons to end a relationship: number 1, because you are extremely unhappy. Number 2, they are financially irresponsible. Number 3, they have crossed the line, disrespected your boundaries. Number 4, the two of you are not on the same path. And finally, number 3, no matter what you do or say, you just cannot resolve your issues. Good luck, and thanks for watching.